The vote of confidence was passed by just 60 votes to 59, and that shows us, I think, how fragile the new coalition is. But it was enough to end Binyamin Netanyahu's record-breaking time in power as Prime Minister. But to pass laws, that government's going to need every single one of those votes every single time from all the members of that very varied coalition. Bennett's the leader of the Yamina party, considered to be further right than Netanyahu's Likud. Lapid, the alternate Prime Minister, he's going to be taking charge in 2 years if the government lasts that long, and it may not. His party's on the centre-left, and there are also left-wing parties and an Islamist Arab party in the coalition as well. This is a coalition based on interests, not on ideology. Whereas Netanyahu is promising to lead a strong opposition united by ideology. And that's an ideology shared by some in the coalition itself. So Yair Lapid could still be the winner in this in the long term, because he's positioned himself as the leader of the main centre-left bloc, the biggest in the coalition, and he's allowed Naftali Bennet to take the role of Prime Minister in what's a very difficult set of circumstances.
So does that mean then we cannot expect any dramatically different approach to, say, subjects such as Iran? You know, the government there has already described this coalition as limp and weak.
Well, Iran is one of the main challenges that Israel has to face, whoever's in charge. Naftali Bennet said when he spoke in the Knesset yesterday that the nuclear project was reaching a critical moment. He said that the Middle East still hasn't recovered from the first nuclear deal, and that gave Iran millions of dollars. He went on to say that Iran has set up terrorist outposts from Syria through Lebanon and Yemen. And resumption of that deal, he said, is a mistake. So far, in line with what Netanyahu had said. He said that it gives legitimacy to one of the darkest and most violent regimes in the world, and that Israel won't allow Iran to gain nuclear weapons. But Benjamin Netanyahu, when he spoke, said that Bennett doesn't have the credibility, ability, or international standing to stand up against the USA should he need to. He said that an Israeli prime minister must be able to say no to the president of the USA on matters that endanger Israel's existence, despite the close alliance between the two countries. He said that he did that, and it has to be something that the Prime Minister of Israel can back up in Congress and Senate and the states and win public support, as he says he did in 2015 with his US Congress speech, despite the fierce opposition then of the US President Barack Obama.
Well, let's talk more about Benjamin Netanyahu now, because he's, as you say, they'd never shied away from a fight. But what's the biggest threat to his career now? The fact that he's going to be in opposition, or those corruption charges which are still hanging over his head?
Well, Netanyahu is promising not to go anywhere for the moment. He said that if he has to be in opposition, he will. And that opposition will be far more united and cohesive, some say, than the government will be. He said that he will lead daily the fight to overthrow what he called a dangerous left-wing government, and he said it'll happen much faster than people think. He gave a perfunctory handshake to Naftali Bennet after he lost that vote and Bennett became the prime minister. But even today, the Yediot Ahronot newspaper here in Israel, not a supporter of Netanyahu, said that he's possibly the most talented leader the country has ever had. And that paper said that he was a brilliant and talented leader. So there are still plenty of people in Israel who, even if they don't like Netanyahu and felt it was time for him to go, haven't written him off just yet. He may yet be back.
A new coalition, but far from conclusive in agreement there over how long it's going to stay in power. Jonathan Sacerdoti, journalist, joining us from Tel Aviv. Thank you.